Welcome to Data, Dollars, and Dynasty, the podcast where data meets destiny. 3 voices, 1 mission, using data to build a dynasty. Next.
We talked last podcast about jobs and where the jobs are going to be for our youth. Okay, we think that an opportunity for youth, and again, the reason why I want to invite these 2 young guys to this call is to think about entrepreneurship, trades, things that allow you to be creative.
Plus,
Meta Superintelligence Labs, which is an attempt to lure AI talents from around the world. They are offering compensation packages totaling up to $300 million.
now welcoming your hosts, Jeremy Sr., JJ, and Jaden.
Welcome. It's Jeremy Williams here, CEO of Sandai Companies. Happy to bring to you today the 6th episode of our Data, Dollars, and Dynasty podcast. I have along on the podcast with me my sons and co-hosts, JJ.
Yep. Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. We look forward to having a wonderful conversation today.
And Jaden.
What's going on, everyone?
And in addition to my co-hosts, I have 2 amazing young guys. Met them 3-4 months back at an event in Baltimore sponsored by the Delta Sigma Theta sorority of Baltimore County. Was at actually a business competition, if I'm correct. And both of these young gentlemen presented ideas around businesses that they currently run and operate. And I was there as a judge, and I had also contributed some money on behalf of the organization to this competition. And these 2 guys just stood out to me. So the first is Sam. Sam, you want to introduce yourself?
Good morning. My name is Alibami Samuel. I'm a photographer. The brand name is Samuel's Lens. I started taking pictures around 3 years ago. One of my favorite pastimes was going through pictures of like my parents at their wedding and safety to me when I was younger. And I really enjoyed doing that. So I decided I'll start taking pictures myself. And I really enjoy making other people smile. So yeah, that's why I'm a photographer and that's why I do what I do.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Sam. And we're going to come back to you guys probably in about 10 minutes and really ask you some questions about, what you did around your business. So thank you for that introduction, Sam. Next is Teo.
Hello, everyone. My name is Teo Palanki. I run a social media marketing business. I started a few years ago, started around 15 or 16.
Yeah, man. So look, I think it's amazing that we have 2 young brothers that have, in your teens, by the way, you can even say preteens, decided to jump out there, take a leap of faith, and juggle entrepreneurship or starting a business up with everything else you got going on in your life. So kudos to you for that. And thank you guys for jumping on this podcast with us. To our audience, today's podcast is going to really seem to be varied. We're going to revisit this concept of AI and its influence on the workforce. Today's podcast is going to focus on the influences of AI on entrepreneurship. Now, we're not going to go into too much detail there. I think we got these young guys on the call, so we want to tap into their brains a little bit about, again, what they do. I think, again, we want to introduce them to the world and our audience. But we also want to learn from them just what they see as opportunities with AI and threats for them and their businesses. And then we'll talk here at the podcast level just about what we see there. So what I want to do to start the podcast off is really talk about some things that, since our last podcast, that I consider to be favorable outcomes for our organization and continues to spearhead and motivate us to keep doing the great work that we do. And the first thing I want to talk about is the introduction of 2 new websites. So we have a new program called Data Gen for Her. You guys know about our Data Gen Scholar program for high school students. And this is a high school program. It has 2 elements to it. It has a 12-month element where students are taught about data analytics and AI, and they're paid for that. There's a lot of things baked into that process. And then we have an accelerated version of that program, which lasts about 6 weeks. We recently introduced a program by the name of Data Gen for Her. So this is for women. Of course, men can also participate in this program, but just looking at that divide that exists within technology and where we see AI going, we understand that there needs to be a greater emphasis on getting women prepared for tomorrow's workforce too, being that women typically and traditionally do not use AI tools or haven't been observed to use tools, okay? So the Data Gen for Her program is essentially our Data Gen Scholar Accelerated program, same program, 6-week program, where we expose women to, again, AI concepts and data literacy concepts and some analytic stuff in there as well. And we help them, again, just get some base knowledge of where things are headed. And we're extremely excited about that program. We had 2 in-person seminars here in our Fairfax, Virginia, where we're based. And we had some great outcomes at these events. We have even entertained the possibilities or the potential opportunities of speaking to about 3 embassies. And I'm not going to name these embassies here on this podcast because things are still developing, but we have an opportunity to talk to 3 embassies, okay? And this program was just introduced, 4 weeks ago, okay? So, and we haven't even started marketing this stuff yet, right? That's what Teo is on the call for, and we'll talk about that in a second. But we're going to start marketing our Data Gen Scholar program more globally via social media next week. We have a new website for our Data Gen for Her program, right? Beautiful website. We're going to start marketing that program next week via social media. And then, of course, this podcast, right? So we've always had the Spotify channel. We've had that since since February about 2025. But we never really had a platform to market the podcast. And we think that we have something different to offer to the world. We think that, again, this right here being an example, okay, of what we can bring to the world as differentiation. And we want to, of course, market that differentiation the best we can. So that website, we think, is going to be key. That website coupled with social media. Again, that's why Teo's on the call. So that was 2 or 3, if you want to call them 3 tremendous wins for us. In addition to that, we've gotten a couple of other potential wins. We're in conversations now with a potential partner with the Jack and Jill. Is that a association or is it a program? How would you guys describe that?
Yeah, I would say it's a
Well,
nonprofit organization that supports African American communities, but I believe that others can participate, but don't quote me on that though.
yes, sir. But it's about 50,000 kids that are influenced by that program. Okay, Jack and Jill, not gonna sit here and do them any injustice by speaking too long about what that opportunity looks like. But again, just based on our efforts to educate people on analytics and AI, we have an opportunity blooming there as well. And then the last and most importantly for us, we have another potential win with the state of Virginia. And I'm mentioning this stuff all for a reason. Now, the state of Virginia's opportunity isn't necessarily related to data and AI. It's related to financial insolvency of cities, okay? And then I think what I want to say with that, and maybe what I think I'll do is I'll dovetail into our first article. JJ, I want to talk about this article that we found earlier this week that relates to upper earning income households. These are the 250K or plus households and the struggles they're having basically satisfying their bills. So let's talk about that article, and then I'm going to circle back to this opportunity with Virginia and give some more color there, and then we'll go over into these other articles that I want to share, and then we'll talk to our guests. Let's go.
Definitely. So yeah, everybody. So earlier this week, the Wall Street Journal, or I would say a couple weeks ago, actually, they posted an article titled, "They're in the top 10% of earners, but they still don't feel rich." So essentially, this article just follows a couple from Pennsylvania. They make about $350,000 a year. So that will put them in the top 10% of earners, right? If you make more than 250K, you're typically doing pretty well in America, right? So these people, they really have a good source of income. They typically shouldn't struggle with paying their bills, but in today's economy, of course, that's not the case, right? With rising costs everywhere, we're seeing families like them, like this Pennsylvania couple, struggle to pay, bills as far as college, right? College tuition. Maybe at the grocery store when they're getting their organic fruits, they're seeing the bill rise with that, and that's impacting them. So essentially, again, around the country, rising costs everywhere are causing typically couples that, again, make more than 250K a year or even around that amount to feel like they're not rich while at the same time, they also don't feel poor, right? So they're sort of in the middle where they're trying to figure out how can I balance my bills while still being in the top 10% of earners. So a very interesting article to say the least.
Yeah, and this is particularly important for families, right? So you young guys making $350K a year, trust me, you're living large, right? $350K a year, no kids, no obligations, you ain't got no problems, right? So $350K for a family though. I think this article was talking specifically about an older family who has college-age kids, right? And having the pressure of potentially sending those kids to college at their dime or somebody else's dime, right? So there's a lot of different dynamics there, everybody. But I think for me, what stood out in this article, it actually referenced the fear that these families are having with this, do you want to call it an assault on the white collar jobs, right? The white collar earners, if you want to call them that, in America. And we talked about this last podcast, right? So last podcast, we talked about what I call sexy jobs and white collar jobs. And we talked about how those jobs we think are going to be the jobs that are targeted, are most at risk to be replaced by AI, okay? And this article talked about that, like these families having pressure to, again, think about ways to have enough money saved up in the event they lost their jobs, okay? And the second thing I would say to that, back to this Virginia opportunity. So this Virginia opportunity that we recently won is about identifying fiscally insolvent cities, okay? So when you go around America, you do have businesses that go out of business because of money. You have cities that tend to flounder because they don't have enough incoming cash flow, right? Cash always is king, even for cities and towns. So the opportunity that we basically have won here is allowing us or requiring us to go in and help these cities come out of this turmoil they're in, okay? Now that speaks highly to a couple things. One, this new budget that we have, right? Think about what the new administration have done with the budget. A lot of monies that traditionally would have gone to these smaller cities isn't going there anymore. That's going to have effect on jobs, okay? This is just what it is. A lot of cities and towns exist essentially to, again, serve their local residents. And those local residents typically aren't high earners, especially you go to rural America. But what we're seeing is that there's the likelihood of more cities and towns going under because think about the federal expenditures are being reallocated, okay? Then also it's AI, okay? Also AI. So jobs aren't necessarily being produced in these areas. So what do they do? What do these rural cities and these small communities do if they have no way to create jobs? You're seeing companies leave these areas. In some instances, I remember about 3 months ago, down in Southern Virginia here, there's a couple of cities down in Southern Virginia where two big major employers left, right? These employers have found a more efficient means to get that labor that they once sought in those areas. So you're seeing companies leave these areas too. We talked last podcast about jobs and where the jobs are going to be for our youth. Okay, we think that an opportunity for youth, and again, the reason why I want to invite these two young guys to this call is to think about entrepreneurship, trades, things that allow you to be creative, things that might be deemed as being stressful. I talked last podcast about not being sexy. I'm not going to sit here and say it's sexy to run a business. It's stressful, all right? Nothing about running a business is sexy to me. A lot of risk involved with that. A lot of sacrifice involved with that, right? It's a lot of unknowing involved with that. So by no means is running a business sexy until you start making it. But back to these articles, this article in particular for me struck a chord because most people in America would never sniff $100,000 a year. Most households, they would never sniff it. This article is saying that people who make $350,000 are nervous. Okay? So what does that say about, if you want to call yourself a regular person, that 90%? What does it say about those people? And again, why I think I applaud Sam and Teo for taking this leap that they're doing. They're trying to figure it out. They're young, trying to figure things out. They're trying to pave that way. And again, that's why I wanted to bring these guys in to have this conversation. Now, before we jump into these guys, I got 2 more articles I want to talk about. And this is, again, for me, is indicative of where we, as regular people, have to pay attention. Now, back to this NVIDIA company again. We talked about them last podcast, okay? What's happening with NVIDIA this week?
Now, for a quick commercial break to share some key program insights.
Every number tells a story, but only if you know how to read it. At Sandai Global, we transform data into direction for small businesses, nonprofits, and enterprise clients alike. Whether it's AI automation, strategic dashboards, or advanced analytics, our solutions redefine what's possible when people and data work together. Learn more at sandaiglobal.net.
Now back to the podcast.
Yeah, definitely. So in short, they're getting rich. The richer are getting richer. So essentially, NVIDIA, they set a record as far as reaching $4 trillion in their market valuation this week, everybody. $4 trillion. I mean, that is a ton of money. And essentially, as you guys know, well, let me remind you if you don't know, NVIDIA is responsible for developing AI chips, right? So you have these tech giants such as OpenAI, Amazon, and Microsoft that are spending hundreds of billions of dollars to basically build these AI centers. And those AI centers, they need AI chips in order to operate efficiently and effectively. So as of now, the one key player that's developing these AI chips is NVIDIA. And like I said, they're already doing pretty well early this year. They were already rich, and they're getting even richer and richer with the development of AI and where things are heading. So
Absolutely. So $4 trillion. Let's put that in perspective now. So the U.S. GDP, look at all the goods that are produced and bought and all that stuff, right? We aggregate all of this stuff across our entire country. It's probably about $26 trillion. Okay. Just one company, okay, it's 1/6 of that in terms of valuation. When you look at all other nations on this globe, it's probably only 2 or 3 other nations with a higher GDP than $4 trillion. Maybe China, maybe Japan is in there. I don't know. Japan, maybe India, Germany, maybe. But when you think about $4 trillion market cap, there aren't many countries that have more GDP than that. Now, I'm not saying it's an apples to apples comparison, but when I think about value, this company is off the charts. I don't think anybody is really close to them. And here's the thing, it's not going to stop. So if I'm an investor, if I'm a person that's outside of the market and I want to look at some things that tell me where things are headed, $4 trillion market cap, that's telling me that the future is bright for this company. There's going to be more investment in AI. Again, so back to what we talked about previous podcasts, there's a requirement, I think it's obligatory, where you're not thinking about AI, just to start thinking about it. Just read up on it, learn how it's going to affect your industries or whatever industry you're in. I don't care what it is, white collar, blue collar, worker, whatever industry. It could be electrical industry, utilities, financial industries. Just start learning about this stuff. Just seeing that $4 trillion, that's eye-opening to me, okay? The next article I want to talk about is on Meta. Okay, now talk about Meta for me, Jaden.
Yeah, so we have an article discussing Meta's recruitment strategy around talent acquisition in the AI space. For those who don't know, Meta is the parent company to social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and they also are big into the virtual reality space. So they have those headsets, the Meta headsets. But they are also a big player in the AI space. And according to the article, Meta is pouring billions into its new AI division, Meta Superintelligence Labs, which is an attempt to lure AI talents from around the world, from other companies, OpenAI and Apple. They are offering insane compensation packages, some totaling up to $300 million over 4 years. But a lot of workers are also declining.
They had 300 million or 1 million?
No, $300 million over 4 years.
$300 million compensation packages.
Yes.
it's ridiculous.
I didn't say I need to quit. I need to probably close this company down and give me a manager. $300 million?
$1 million for 4 years.
So stop. Listen. This right here says to me, it's the wild, wild west for talent. That's all it says to me. It just says there is so few people that know this AI stuff. Now, I have no idea what they're paying for. I'm guessing it's these engineers, I'm guessing.
AI developers, engineers, these are people in that workspace. So these are not just regular, software engineers. These are people who have long-standing history in the AI field. They're taking them from other big companies like OpenAI.
$300 million in 4 years.
$300 million, yes. They see them as worth it.
What's Stephen Curry get a year? So I'm just trying to put this in perspective.
Hold on, let's look that up.
What LeBron James get? 50 million?
Yeah.
Okay, so somebody out there is going to get 75 million. But now, of course, now it's not just paycheck, right? This is total compensation, right? This is stock options and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Stephen Curry is about $63 million a year.
All right. So
LeBron about 50.
yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So that's straight check for them now. Okay, less taxes. So they probably getting 30 mil. These guys here, we're saying 75 mil, I'm guessing on average. And that's a combination of things, right? Bonuses and performance bonuses, and they got to hit these different metrics, of course, to get that money. But come on, guys, $300 million. $300 million for a person. All right, everybody. So I'm saying, for me, this article and this NVIDIA article, okay, is telling us this AI is coming. It's coming. So couple that with the fact that money is being pulled back. It's being pulled back from certain causes. I'm not going to sit there and name these causes. Go ahead and look at Trump's budget. So white collar jobs dissipating. Okay? It's a different tomorrow. I think that, again, entrepreneurship presents an avenue for a lot of people. And there's a lot of different things. I talked about this last podcast, a lot of different jobs that need to be filled. We talked about those blue collar jobs. Think about like nurses. We need a lot of nurses. We need a lot of doctors. We need a lot of home health aides. We need a lot of plumbers. We need a lot of folks who are going to have to help this country maintain the service levels, right? Just based on an aging population. So those kind of jobs, as I said before, are going to be abundant. But if you're not in one of those fields, okay, you're on this white collar side. Oh, and don't forget, 3 days ago, back to this federal workforce, the Supreme Court approved President Trump's ability to reduce agency workforces. So it was approved. So again, if you're one of these folks in these white collar jobs, you got to start looking at this stuff. Now, I want to, again, bring in these two minds. We got Sam again, we got Teo. So I'm going to start off with you, Teo. I want you to talk, again, just give everybody your age. And what I want to learn more from you, again, is one, why did you start your business up? Yeah, I just think it's an opportunity for me, how I look at entrepreneurship. I think everybody should have a business. But what made you start your business up, okay? And where do you see your business going in this new tomorrow where AI is going to dominate everything?
So I started my business around 2 years ago. I started because I had ambition, because my parents, they influenced me a lot because they did at some point had their own businesses. My mom worked in sales. My dad was in marketing. So that's brought like ambition to me. I wanted to be in business, but actually what I'm doing right now is not what I started with. I started with drop shipping at first, and I didn't get much sales, and I wasn't really like skilled with marketing at the time. So from there, I went to study marketing tactics and strategies and all that. And then I was like, this could be very beneficial to other companies. And I feel like I can and I should be able to take that workload of actually marketing off of companies' hands, and then they just only have to worry about their service and stuff like that. So I just had a goal.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Let me say something to you. So you know who Mark Cuban is, right?
Yeah.
Mark Cuban. All right. So was it last week? He was on a podcast. All right. And on this podcast, he says, if I was 16, 17, 18, you think he went up to 20, 21. All right. Here's what I would be doing every day. So I would be just listening to podcasts on AI. So I would just listen to podcasts. He talked about the journey for entrepreneurs. He went back 50 years ago and the difficulty it is to start a business up, right? He talked about 50 years ago, nobody really had computers. So it was, start a business up, but it was really no way to get word about your business other than the local economy or local community that you were a part of. And you fast forward to now, everybody has phones. Most of us are connected on some social platform. Now you throw this AI in the mix, right? You throw AI in the mix, this stuff can create stuff for you, right? It creates a lot of content for you. So you're not even having to create stuff. So again, I think what you just said there is what I liked about what you said. This is an old guy to young guy. You said that you wanted to serve. You said you wanted to serve businesses, and you said you want to take off some pressure off their plates, right?
Yeah.
So talk more about like pressure. So when you say think about that pressure, what is it that you're taking off their plate? What is it that you're doing for that business owner when you do the work for them?
Marketing is a whole side, it's a whole thing with a business. Like, you have to know marketing. Being able to take that off, that's literally, I feel like if you know how to market, you can sell anything. So like, I feel that's the 50% of the business, right? So me taking that off, and then now the company owner is now focusing 100% on their service that they're providing. It just allows them to, make more money, have more time for different stuff, and just taking off that workload.
Yes, sir. Look, another word you said, I'm gonna interject here. You said time.
Yeah.
As young people, what are you, 17, Sam? What are you?
I'm 18.
You're 18 and you're 17 still, Teo, right?
Yeah.
All right. So as you start to age, you become more aware of time. I'm not saying they're going to watch. You become more aware of where you are relative to that life expectation. So time becomes increasingly important to you, how you spend your time. And people who tend to be ambitious, they hate wasting their time. So back to when you talked about business owners. So me as a business owner, I try to maximize my use of my time every day. It doesn't mean I'm working all day. Sometimes I'm just chilling, but that's my chill time. But if I have a person come to me and they're offering to me a method to save my time and also make me some money, okay? I'm gonna always listen to you. I'm gonna always listen to you because you're leading with saving me time. It's not necessarily about the price of the service. Now, of course, I want that service to be covered by my revenues or what is you gonna bring in for me, okay? But it's about time. It's about time. Now, just for the audience benefit here. So Teo, again, this guy at this competition that I talked about earlier in Maryland, him and Sam, I remember they were on the stage and they had an audience full of about 70, 80 people in front of them. And they had 3 judges, mean mugging them. And they had to come on this stage and make a presentation. Now, me at 17, 18, I'm not doing that. I'm nervous. My knees shaking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? It's me at 17, 18. These guys were on that stage, stoic, poised, and they delivered, they articulated what their business was about. Teo does marketing stuff, like ads and stuff like that, Facebook. I know nothing about this stuff. All right? But the minute I saw this kid on that stage, I said, there's an opportunity here. I'm gonna give this guy a shot. Then this guy can come in and help us with our social media. We haven't done any social media at all for my companies. So again, back to these pages that we've created, we got these 3 new websites. Each of these websites has 3 social media pages each, right? Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. Teo is gonna be my ad guy. He's basically gonna come in and he's, saving me time. Okay, he's gonna basically help us get ads out there. Okay, and then in 60 days from now, 30 days from now, we'll revisit this podcast and we'll let you know how successful he is. Now, here's the thing I want to talk to you about quickly, Teo, and I'm gonna go over to Sam. My advice for you is this. I know there's a tool, AI tool called Zly AI that also reportedly, is supposed to be able to do ads on social platforms. What I would say for you as an aspiring business guy who right now is landed on ad generations for clients, I think that's great. It's a great skill to maintain. embed AI into your offerings. So that's why I hope that you get from us, from working with us, being a partner with us, and actually being a vendor of ours, is that you consider ways to do that as well to, one, lower your costs, increase your profitability, and then also help your customers. So definitely think about that AI. Now, have you considered that? Yeah, are you currently doing that? Talk about that.
So like recently, when you had mentioned earlier on like the goals and features I have for my business, recently we started looking into lead generation with AI. I mean, not lead generation, like actually qualifying the lead with AI, right? So there's different software we're going to start using to help you market to. It talks to the clients for you, a very human-like speech. And because AI is coming up, you can't. And in this day and age, you can't have a business and not have AI implemented into the business and think you're going to make it as far as somebody else who does have AI in the business.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, for a quick commercial break to share some key program insights.
Public service meets innovation through Data Gen for Gov. We equip government agencies and organizations with practical, industry-recognized training in data, AI, and digital skills. From smarter reporting systems to automated citizen engagement tools, we make technology work for those who serve. Learn more at datagenforgov.com.
Now back to the podcast.
Hey, so look, we're going to jump over to Sam. I know Sam is itching to talk over here. So Sam, same deal, man. Talk about who you are. We know your age now. Both you guys are from Maryland, so we'll put that out there. But talk about who you are, Sam, and your business, and where you see your business going.
So as I said earlier, I'm a photographer. I started taking pictures because I understand how important it is to be able to look back and see how far you've grown. And I like being able to have people experience that. The goals I have for my business is really to expand how much I make, increase the amount I make a year. So I'm coming out to around 8K about the end of this month. And next year...
Is that for the year? 8K for the year? So
yeah, 8K so far, yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
And right now I'm using AI to reach out to businesses. There's this one business, it's a sales company, and I was able to work with them for headshots. I think there were like 20 of them, and I charged them like 50 each. So it was really profitable for me. And that's when I realized that like reaching out to businesses it's easier. One, because they're more organized, they have everything they want to do, and it's quick.
Yeah.
So I started using AI to make cold emails and reach out to businesses, just hit headshots to them.
Hold up, though. So let me go back to this, though. So I probably should ask Teo this, too. But you said you've made 8K already this year.
Yes, sir.
All right. Any moms, dads, any kids listening to this podcast, I want that to marinate on your brain. You got this young man, 18 years old. You've been doing this for a couple of years now, Sam?
Yeah.
All right. He has a passion for helping people preserve memories, is what he said. Now, with these headshots, it's a little different, right? That's about identity creation, potentially on websites and other marketing materials, but he's made $8,000. Okay. This is entrepreneurship at work. Okay. Now, Sam, do you set goals? Talk about like how you set goals, and then more importantly, I want to learn where you see AI helping you grow this business. So in terms of your goal setting, how do you do that? Do you have a certain number of customers you want to get each month? And answer that for me. And then again, just where do you see AI helping you more moving forward?
Okay, so as for goals, the only issue I have now is inconsistency with clients. Although people do reach out to me, I would like to have clients reaching out to me 3-4 times a week. So that's what I'm working for right now. As for AI, where I want to implement AI is to use AI to grab more attention towards my business so people can reach out to me. I'd also like to expand. I would like to have more people, because right now it's just me. I don't have anybody working with me. I like to use AI to bring people from other places like neighboring states, Virginia, DC, New York, New Jersey. Yeah, that way I know where I want to make my next studio at. I'm working on a studio right now. It's going to be based in Maryland. I'm in Maryland.
Got you.
And next year, I want to have another one.
Okay. Perfect, man. You got a question, JJ?
Yeah. Let me, well, actually, you know what? No, I think we wanted to ask Teo, right, the same similar question regarding how much he made. So I'm going to let him go before I hop in.
All right, go ahead, Teo.
Monthly, I make around $6K.
Hold up, man. Okay, so you're 17, right?
Yeah.
Say that for me with some bass in your voice. Say that for me one more time. What you make each month. Say that with some bass.
Monthly, I make $6K a month.
6K. So that equates to this me doing some simple math here. $72,000 a year is what you make right now.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You guys know anything about what the average household income is in America? All right. I'm going to be a little generous here because I think people making more money these days. I'm going to say $50,000 for a household of 4 people on average. $60,000 a year. That's the average. All right. Sam, you're at 8K. You're about 1/6 of that. Right? No obligations, probably, other than running your business. Tail, you're already over that. All right? Already. That's not even factoring into what you're going to get from us. So you put into the equation what you're going to get from me starting next week to help me with these 9 social media platforms. You're at $10,000, man. A month. So that becomes simple math. 120K, listeners.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's something I'm going to circle back to. I'm going to get to your question, JJ, in a second. This is one of these mentorship opportunities for you guys. All right. One of the values of being a part of a network, back to this Data Gen Scholars program, Sam, I mean, tell you, you're not in it, but a part of what we preach is this part in our career. What's it called? Career development section.
Yeah,
all right.
career development for ready.
Our module, right? It's about mentorship, sponsorship, and networking. By you both being a part of this experience that we have here, Teo, you're already going to be doing sites for some of our customers. You follow me? Because you're already getting exposed to some of our customers. By you helping me, you're going to then help me serve my customers better. I think of 3 customers that you're already helping us with. All right? Unknowingly. All right? Same thing with you, Sam. So what happens is, by you having a network and you being mentored and sponsored, like, because you guys are part of my network now, and I want to see you successful. A way you can grow your business, Sam, is by making sure you got a bunch of mentors and sponsors. People who embrace you, who want to see you successful. All right? That's one way you can do it. And let those people go out there and find you work. All right? Now, a big part of that is you serving that person well first. You giving that person the information just from observation that they need to then go out there and represent you and use their credibility to open up doors for you. And I'm saying to you, absolutely, both of you guys are going to benefit from us that way. Definitely. Without a doubt. All right. So go ahead and ask your question, JJ.
All right, that sounds good. So yeah, Teo and Sam, I know you guys both touch bases on how you guys use AI to help you out with getting clients and stuff like that, maybe shortening your current business processes. But I want to learn more, lean more towards how do you see AI, if you're not already using it, right, to help you out with the creative side of things, all right? Just to give you an example, Teo, for you again, how do you see it potentially helping you out with not only creating those AI or those ads, right, but how do you see it with you helping you out with your daily stuff you do on a daily basis, right? Something as simple as generating emails, right? Or maybe researching your website, developing stuff for your website, whatever it may be. Again, how do you see it helping you out if you're not already using it to help you out with that creative side? And then same thing for you, Sam, right? I know there's plenty of AI tools that help you with editing photos and stuff like that. But again, with you, how do you see it helping you out? And again, if you're not using it now, why aren't you using it? And what do you plan on doing in the future to help you use it? So again, that you can not only limit your costs, but also save your time as well. So, Teo, I'll let you go ahead and go first. And then Sam, I would love for you to just follow up after him.
Yeah, so when I use AI, I use that to fact check it. If I'm not already using it to get a base, For example, whenever I'm making an ad, I might need to make a description and a grabbing description for somebody on Facebook or like Instagram. Sometimes I would write down the product description in AI, like this is the product, and create a title for this ad that will be very eye-grabbing. And then based on the information it already has on meta ads already, it's gonna give you 5 great titles that you can use. I love using that. And sometimes on its own, I might just type in something I have an idea for the title or the description already, and it just makes it cleaner and it's always better results. And then for my day-to-day, sending emails, just making sure it's more professional.
Definitely. You know, you say saving you a lot of time, right? Even with those descriptions, it might take you, maybe 20, 30 minutes before to brainstorm something. Now you're doing it in like probably 5 seconds, right?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, Sam, what about you, Sam? How you using it?
So I use AI for inspiration at times. For example, I was going for a birthday shoot once, and they said that they wanted it to be like rain themed or something, like it was a jungle.
Got you.
I've done anything like that before. So I actually just use chatgpt for it, and I asked for it to generate some samples for me to use. And then based off that, I already knew exactly how I was going there. Like, it just brought out some sample pictures, and I started planning it out, and I had what I was going to do in mind. So it really helped with that. Another thing that I use it for is learning different techniques to edit pictures.
Okay.
So I use Lightroom and Photoshop to edit. Lightroom already has a feature built in to where it'll automatically fix like corrections with your pictures. The only thing with it is it's AI. AI isn't perfect, so I still have to go back over the pictures and adjust it to where I want it to look. Photoshop has a generative AI feature, which basically means if I take a picture and someone's in the background, I can remove them out the background. It's very convenient, very simple to use. Yeah.
Now, cool stuff. And again, like I said, I'm pretty sure you guys did your own research to find those tools to help you with those processes and whatnot, right? So everybody listening, again, you can use this AI to help you out with a ton of stuff. Teo and Sam, they're living proof, right? 17, 18, their own businesses, and they're using AI to help them basically outsource stuff that they might need to pay an employee for otherwise. So it's amazing stuff, gentlemen, amazing stuff.
Absolutely. So look, let's go ahead and shift gears in just interest of time. Again, thank you guys for jumping on with us. Again, I know it was short notice for you, Sam. I want to get you into this conversation, especially given that I met you guys at the same time. And I was impressed with you day one. There was a few other kids on that stage that we made certain walked away with some money. Sandai, just observing those kids and seeing how passionate you guys were about your products and services. Just me thinking back to my yesterdays and the fear I would have had being on that stage. I probably could have did it, okay? But would have been a lot of stuttering, without a doubt. But just to see you guys, your poise, and just how you conveyed yourselves, explaining your products. I think you actually went first too, by the way, Sam. So you were the first one up. So I just wanted to bring you in here, talk to you a little bit, and I'm looking forward to serving as a mentor, sponsor, and even a customer of both of you guys and helping to get those numbers higher for you in terms of your earnings so far.
Now, for a quick commercial break to share some key program insights.
Data Gen for Her is reshaping how women enter and thrive in the world of data and artificial intelligence. This reimagined experience helps women gain real-world AI skills, build confidence, and apply technology to real-world challenges. Learn more at datagenforher.com.
Now back to the podcast.
Now, that said, I want to wrap up by just talking a little bit about just our journey as entrepreneurs. And me being somewhat experienced at this game, July 18th for me represents about the 7th year since I walked away from corporate America. Okay, and I made that decision just because I felt that I needed to do something differently. Submitted my resignation July 18th, 2018. Well-paying job, okay? With the hopes of starting something up that I could use to leave a legacy for myself, okay? To make some kind of an impact, to alter futures, okay? And you guys being present on this podcast is example of how we do that at Sandai, right? We try to influence outcomes, positive outcomes for those that we touch. You are a vendor right now, Teo, but Sam, you're in one of my programs. So you are a pupil to some degree, but we try to, again, just influence favorable outcomes and alter tomorrow via people and organizations. Just make them better. They're more effective. They can serve better. Coming into this year, 2025, January 1st, everybody sets goals. And I remember having a conversation with a couple of people about New Year's resolutions. And I just talked a lot about why I don't do resolutions. My sons know this. I don't really celebrate holidays. I don't set resolutions. I don't set like one big goal, right? I have targets for myself in terms of how I look at everything, health, wealth, entrepreneurship. We'll talk about entrepreneurship here today. But what I look to do every day, guys, I try to set 3 or 4 things that I have to get done. And those 3 or 4 things could be something simple with my business. They're not always necessarily be something that's difficult. But I try to set these goals to ensure that I, next day, can get up and feel as though I had a successful yesterday. Okay. And what I try to do sometimes, I'll go searching for methods of other people who are more successful than I am. And I came across this video. It's this guy's name is Mr. Wonderful. I don't even know his real name. He's on Shark Tank. Kind of loud guy, very matter of fact, very knowledgeable guy. And he was just talking about his experience with Steve Jobs. So you guys know who Steve Jobs is. And how Steve Jobs carried himself each day. He talked about Steve Jobs being what he called signal versus noise in terms of how he approached his days. And it really resonated with me watching this little video, right? Because it talked about Steve Jobs, again, focusing on 3 or 4 goals each day. And then his signal was those goals. So he wanted to get those goals done within that 18-hour time period that he allowed himself. And then everything else outside of getting those goals, he called it noise. Noise is distractions. It's family, friends, video games, scrolling social media, whatever it is. Anything that distracts you from hitting those goals, he called the noise. And I just think as an aspiring entrepreneur, you guys both are, guys doing some great stuff already, continue to set those goals. And particularly with the Mr. Wonderful, in this piece that he talked about, he said that he thought Jobs was 80% signal and 20% noise. That means most of his days were consumed on hitting those goals, okay? And you see what that led for him. He also talked about Elon Musk. He said he thinks Elon Musk is 100%. All signal, no noise, okay? So as entrepreneurs, what I would say is continue to do what you do. I think there's an opportunity for you to leverage mentorship, sponsorships to grow your businesses. Got to use social media. Even listen to you today here, Sam. Teo does all that outreach stuff. He does lead generation. So we got to find a way to get you guys connected there so he can use some of his knowledge to help you do what you do. But that's all about that mentorship, sponsorship, network component I mentioned earlier. But before I jump off here, I wanted to do a couple things here. And second thing that resonated with me this week was this idea I had to just look up a couple of words. Because we always hear about people living in their past and some people focus too much on the future. Okay, so I gave you guys a project before we started this podcast, and I wanted to revisit this project before we jump off, before I conclude. I'm gonna first go to you, Sam. I want you to give me the definition that you found for the word past.
The word past means the time or a period of time before the moment of speaking or writing.
All right, so before you speak something or write something, okay, that's the moment before that. That's something. It's your past. All right. Teo, I want you to read for me the definition you found for future.
The future is the time ahead shaped by the choices we make today.
There's another definition there in it, similar to what Sam had there. Yeah, but that definition for me.
The noun.
The noun. Read the noun for me.
At the present time or moment.
Right. So essentially, it's the same thing as the past definition. So what it is, the future is the moment after you speak or write something. This is by definition. Split those two words up. One is before you speak or write, it's the past. And the other is after you speak or write something. I would even argue that think should be in there. All right? I would argue that think should be in that definition. So what I would say for both of you guys, and I would say for anyone who's listening here, you can control your tomorrows by focusing less on yesterday. We talked earlier about all these articles, NVIDIA, $4 trillion market cap. That capitalization has baked into it future revenue expectations, profitability. It's baked into it. That's how you figure out a company's market cap. All right, so everything that Meta is doing around hiring all these folks and giving them this crazy money, $300 million for a particular person, that's crazy. Of course, that's going to be an experienced person, but just think somebody can get an opportunity like that. It says that there's something coming with this AI. We know talent is sparse, so we know that people are going to be fighting over people, going to be pilfering people from people, right? So countries are going to be doing the same thing, trying to bring talent to their shorelines. So it's the wild, wild west, guys. So I think for that future perspective for me, as an entrepreneur, continue to get up every day, speaking next second, if you will. Thinking about those signals, thinking about those goals that you want to set for yourself. Achieve those goals and move on to the next step. That's all I have. I want to thank our guests for stepping in and making some time for us here today. I think that the ideas that they shared here around their journey to entrepreneurship, we hope it serves listeners well and that you can garner something from what these young men stated. We'll have them on future episodes. Teo, again, is going to start this journey with us, with my companies next week. He's going to basically be our ads guy, and we're paying him. So he's going to come in, and I think based on the ad budget that we've identified, I'm expecting 1 million views from you, Teo, each month. Sam is a part of our Data Gen Scholar program. Again, that's a learn and earn program that we do for high school kids around the globe. We have about 65 kids registered currently in our 25-26 program.
That's right.
About 10 seats left. Kids from Canada, we got Taiwan, Pakistan, India, Africa, a bunch from the US. But we have limited seats there. We also have an accelerated version of that where we have more seats. But Sam is one of our officers in that program, and he's actually going to do business with us for our event. We've actually shifted an event that we had scheduled for August to reveal that program here locally in Virginia. We've shifted that to October, but Sam is with our photographer for that event. So we're looking forward to, again, transacting with Sam, helping to continue to grow his business. And with that said, the last words I would say for the audience is, again, we're not necessarily here saying that you should fear AI. We want you to be informed. We want you to go out and just find ways to get the knowledge that you need to ensure that your tomorrows are protected the best that they can be. And we think that by getting information, just by reading these articles and dialing into different podcasts, you can learn a boatload of information that can help you get prepared for, again, tomorrow's workforce, and even start helping you consider the different opportunities in terms of if you want to do a career switch that might exist for you in today's economy.
Definitely.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Data, Dollars, and Dynasty. The views and opinions expressed in this episode are those of the individual speakers and do not reflect the views and opinions of Sandai Global or Sandai Cares. Visit us on our website at datadollarsdynasty.com to learn more about our companies and our priorities. Also, follow us on social media at Data Dollars Dynasty. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Thanks again for tuning in. We look forward to catching you on the next episode.